Hello and welcome to this quick guide on getting to grips with Photopea or Photopea. The first thing you're going to want to do is search for Photopea. So I'm going to pop that into Google here and we will see that we have the first result is Photopea or Photopea or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to jump straight into that, so I'm going to click on that and we should be greeted with the page for Photopea. So what is Photopea? It is an image editor that is online. So if you don't have a computer that can run Facebook, so if you have something like a Chromebook or a tablet or something, then Photopea is going to be really helpful for you to be able to edit images. So what we're going to do is we're going to log into our account. So if the top here, if you click on account, you can see it's in red at the moment. If I click on account, I'm going to log in and this is going to take me to a new page and it's going to give me 4 different sign-in methods. I'm going to choose Google, and if you're watching this because you're at school, you probably have a school Google account, so you're probably going to use Google as well. If your school uses Microsoft instead, you might choose that, but my school at the moment uses Google, so we will use that and we will log in with Google. Then I'm going to be logged in. There we go. And we can see that account here has changed to green from red. So I'm going to close this down. And this is the landing screen for Photopea. Okay, I'm going to create a new project. So I'm just going to click on new project here. And when we're setting up our new project, it's really important to give it a descriptive name rather than just leaving it as new project. So I'm going to change this name to logo. I'm going to, just for the purposes of this, make a little logo. I'm going to make it, let's say, 400 pixels wide and 400 pixels tall. I'm going to leave the DPI alone unless you know what DPI is and know what to do with it. Then just leave it at 72. 72 is more than acceptable for general web work, and you can choose your different color background. I'm going to choose transparent. If you leave it white, it's not the end of the world. And we're going to press create. So here we go. We have ourselves a lovely square. Now you can see this checkerboard pattern. That is telling us that it's transparent, okay? That is telling us that there is no background at all. I'm just going to make myself a little bit smaller. In the bottom right here, you can see we have a layers palette. So this is where all of our different layers are, and this is the genius of a good image editor, is having lots of layers. So let's have a look at why lots of layers make a difference. So as a very simple example, I'm going to use the brush and the eraser tool, okay? I'm going to take my brush tool, which is just this one here, okay? And I'm going to draw something. So I might draw, actually, let's just make it really big and flood the whole thing with that red color. Okay, I'm going to drop the size back down. So with the brush tool selected here, I can go up to the top here and I can change the size, and I can also change the hardness, and we'll look at what they do in just a second. Now I've got my brush tool here and I've given the background completely red. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this red color and I'm going to choose a different color to use my brush. So maybe that color there, okay? And now I'm going to just brush over and I might do something like that. Okay, so I've just put in a little stripe there. Now let's say I wanted to tidy up these edges, okay, of what I've just done with the eraser. So if I jump down to the eraser, I want to set my size of my eraser maybe just a little bit bigger, and I'm going to go along the edge and I want to just give that a nice crisp edge and just go over and just make sure it's nice and smooth. You can see there's a big bump here. I'm just going to come along and cut that bump out. But something really bad's happening. I'm actually destroying the background as well. This isn't what I want to be happening. I want to be able to control each element in my image individually. And so it's really important that we think about what we're doing in terms of layers. And at the moment, we're just working on this one layer called background, and that's not very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new layer. And to do that, I need to move myself. So I'm just going to drag myself up here. There we go. And I'm going to press this button down here. It looks like a little piece of paper with its corner folded over. I'm going to press on that, and that's going to create me layer 1. I'm going to go back to background layer and I'm going to reset what we did. So I'm going to click on background and I'm going to change this back to whatever we had. So right in the top corner there, that really red. And I'm going to make the size of the brush really big. And I'm going to go, oh dear, that's the eraser, not the brush. Let's choose the brush. That would be good. Do that, and we're going to color this in red again. And we're going to do exactly what we did. We're going to drop the brush back down to a reasonable size. We're going to change our color to something in the middle here, and this time, instead of brushing on the background layer like we did, what we're going to do is we're going to select layer 1. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the text where it says layer 1. Not over here, not on the right hand side away from the text. If I double click over here, I can get this box. That's no good, don't want to do that. I'm going to click on the actual text where it says layer 1. If I double click on that, I can rename it, and I'm going to call this stripe. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little diagonal stripe across my logo. So I'm going to take the brush tool now, make sure I've got that selected over here, and I'm going to just brush down a little stripe. Oh dear, that was a little bit wonky there. Let's try and move that up. And oh, I've got a splodge, okay? I want to erase that splodge. Now, if I select the eraser and I select the background layer, oh dear, this eraser is huge. Let's bring that back down. If I select the background layer, I can erase the background if I want to. And if I erase the background, I'm not actually going to erase the stripe because the stripe is in front of the background. And can you see on these thumbnails here that it's showing us what's in each one. So the background has this red, and I've just erased this corner, but it's not done anything to our stripe. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to get our background back. And instead, I'm going to make sure my stripe layer is selected. So my background layer is selected at the moment. If I click here, my stripe layer is selected. And I'm going to come along, and I'm just going to erase the edge of my stripe here. Okay, lovely. So I'm erasing this. Now, it's not the best job in the world, but I'm just showing you kind of the benefit of layers. And what we'll do is we'll do another layer, and we'll say stripe 2. You could name these so much better, but this will do for now. So let's jump into here. Let's change the color a little bit. You can see we've got this kind of slider that changes the range of colors that we've got, and then I can use this dot in the middle to really fine tune what color I want. So let's do a kind of bluey color. I've got my brush selected. No, that's not my brush. I've got my brush selected. And now with stripe 2 layer selected, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do a little brush here, and fantastic. Now I've got my 3 layers, stripe 2, I've got my stripe, and I've got my background. And these are all independent of each other. So if I wanted to erase a little bit from my stripe 2, I can erase that without affecting the other layers. And this is really important. This is crucial to a lot of image editing, keeping things on layers, keeping them organized so that you can come back to them at a later date and edit them. So I might want to have thin stripes. So I can come along and I can edit these stripes without having to edit the actual background or ruin any of the other image. One last thing before I go, I'd really like to show you is let's do it on the eraser. The eraser and the brush both have the same properties up here, size and hardness, okay? And hardness affects how soft or hard the edges are. So if I do an erase here, oh dear, that didn't work very well. That's not a very good idea. Let's do it in the background. Let's hide these 2 layers. These little eyeballs here will show and hide layers. Let's come back here, and I'm just going to do an erase here. And you can see with hardness at 100%, I have a perfect crisp circle. Now, if I come down here and drop hardness to 0, and I haven't changed the size, and I erase this bit, you can see it's a much softer erase, okay? You can see it really gradually blends into what we've got there. And I can use this to my advantage. If I drop this right down, oh, that's a bit too much. If I drop this down, I can like maybe come around the edge of this circle, and I can really just kind of soften out the edge if I wanted to soften and make things look nice. And that can really be used effectively and creatively. That's a quick introduction to Photopea. I hope you have found this helpful, and please watch the next video if you're looking for more advanced things. Fab.